Hey everybody! So, it's another day. It's time for a video. We haven't done one in a while. Today I want to talk about a couple things. One, what's all this? What's all these gray hairs in my beard? I don't like that. I'm not crazy about it. Two, I want to talk about making vegetables and eating vegetables because they're good for you, and these days more than ever, it's really important that we're healthy, taking care of ourselves. Today, now here's how I'm thinking about this. Lots of teenagers, lots of people in general, don't like vegetables. Can we make vegetables absolutely delicious while still keeping them healthy? I mean, anything deep fried is going to be okay because it just tastes like deep frying. Can we maybe use some of the ideas of deep frying, have it a little bit healthier, and make something really delicious? Here's the other thing. We're going to do Brussels sprouts. No one likes Brussels. No one, you name them, like, hey, do you love Brussels sprouts? People don't go, oh, they're my favorite things. Because they're easy to mess up. So I'm going to show you how to make Brussels sprouts absolutely delicious. See you in just a minute. We don't need a lot to make Brussels sprouts delicious. We're just going to do a few things, all of which are ideas that are really going to work for pretty much any kind of vegetable. First, we're going to blanch them. We'll talk about what that means. And then we're going to pan fry them, but not deep fry them. We're going to use a really hot pan to get a nice flavor and caramelization on them. Now, we're going to do a few things. When you blanch vegetables, you cook them in a way where all the nutrients are brought to the fore and it looks bright and beautiful and wonderful, but doesn't lose any of its flavor, loses very little of its nutrition, and doesn't get those extra kind of bland flavors. And we're going to really quickly heat them again at high heat because that's going to make that Maillard reaction that makes the natural sugars in them come forward. It's also going to give it a lot more interesting a texture. It's going to give it a crunchy texture instead of that kind of, well, mushy texture no one likes. But here's what we got to do first. We got to get our vegetables. I got a secret. Here's my secret. I came up with a system for cooking Brussels sprouts that was a little bit on accident. What I did was I bought a bunch of Brussels sprouts. It's really hard to say. Before you laugh at me, you try it. I bought a bunch of, oh my God. I went store, I buy things. They were on sale. I got the Brussels sprouts and I didn't have time to cook them. So what I did was I cleaned them, I cut off the bottom and I cut them in half and then I froze them. Here they are. These are my frozen Brussels sprouts. Now the nice thing is I froze them at exactly when they were at their best. They were very fresh, they were on sale, they were cheap. So I just have a bunch sitting in the freezer. This has given me a huge advantage when I cook them. I'm gonna blanch them, cooking the outside leaves and giving them the color that I want, but not overcooking the inside because I'm gonna cook them from frozen. I'm not gonna thaw them at all. First thing I need to do though, is I need to get some water boiling, some heavily salted water. So let's go ahead and do that now. I've got my water, I've got it salted, I've got the heat under it. The salt will do a couple things. One, it's gonna put flavor into whatever I'm cooking with it. Two, it actually brings the water to a boil more quickly. So you have that in there. Let's check in on it. You know what that is? That's boiling, baby. It's time to add the vegetables. Is "that's boiling, baby" gonna be the new catchphrase? I feel like it's got potential. That's boiling, baby. Oh, worth trying. All right, let's add in our Brussels sprouts. Now again, blanching vegetables is a really classic thing. What you do is you add your vegetables to boiling salted water, cook them until they turn bright in their color. For most vegetables, it's gonna be bright green. And then you strain them in a colander, right? In a strainer of some kind. And then you usually wanna cool them down right away so they don't overcook. Now for us, we're gonna spray it with cold water. Usually when you're blanching, more traditionally, you'd actually dunk it into an ice bath, into ice cold water. We're probably gonna skip that step today for reasons that'll become clear in a second. But let's start this up. So, here they go. Here's my little guys, they're all in there. Now you can see these still have really bright colors. They're gonna get even brighter still. Let's check in with them in just a second. Okay, it's been a couple minutes, they're done boiling. Now what I need to do is I need to find a colander or a strainer of some kind to strain them all through. So I need to find mine. I'm not totally certain where it is. Hold on a second. It's a cup, it's not gonna work. I can't use any of these things. I can't, I don't know what the hell this thing is. What's this, a rolling pin? Can't use a rolling pin for this. Shut up. I needed a hat. Ooh, that handle's hot. Okay, here we go. Let's boil these suckers on in. Might have steamed up our lens there. Now, I need to cool these down kind of quickly so they don't overcook. Here we go. Cool, cool, cool. Cool down. Again, often you'd have an ice bath waiting for this, but I don't need them quite that cold. I need them not quite there because they're a little bit thicker. Definitely something like green beans. You definitely want to blanch, after you blanch them, after you boil them, you want to put them in ice cold ice water. Then you have to drain them and make sure they're dried off again. You don't want them getting too soggy. It's kind of a lot of steps. We'll do that another time for green beans. And next time I'll show you how to make spinach really delicious, really easily. But for now, let's talk about our secret Brussels sprout technique. Next thing I have to do is I need to get a pan. I have a pan right here. And get that pan good and hot. I need it really hot for this. Now, I need to put some oil in it. Now, I want to use an oil that has a high smoke point. The smoke point is how hot it can get without, well, burning. Now, often whenever you're cooking, people are like, oh, you gotta use olive oil. Olive oil. Olive oil is great and it adds a lot of flavor, but it's expensive and it has a terrible smoke point. It burns really easily. So whenever you're doing anything with really high heat, don't use olive oil. Use something like regular vegetable oil. It's not very expensive and it's gonna do a little bit better. Now, you could add a little bit of olive oil to this if you wanted, if you want to get a little bit of that flavor. We can do that. That's fine. But you don't want to use all olive oil. Again, too expensive, way too low a smoke point. So, a little olive oil. That's fine. Now, I don't want a lot of oil in here. I want just enough to coat the bottom of the pan. Now, as the pan gets hot, you're going to see the oil will thin and it will spread on its own pretty easily. We can speed that up by tilting the pan around and letting it do its thing. Okay, let's give that a second to warm up. It's time to season these up. Now, here's what we're gonna do for seasoning. What I'm gonna do, I've got my Brussels sprouts. I put them in my bowl. They're fairly cooled down and they're fairly dry. I let them dry in the colander for a bit. You don't want to use a lot of wet ingredients to season this because then they're going to steam in the pan when I want them to crisp in the pan. Moisture is the opposite of crisping. I'm going to use a little bit though, not much. I'm going to use a tiny bit of olive oil. Oh, who's coming? Is it Rocket? Oh, maybe. He might show up. So we've got a little bit of olive oil just to kind of coat them. Hi Rocket. Hi Jet. We're going to use a tiny bit of a balsamic glaze. Again, I don't want to use much for wet ingredients. Now, this is just reduced vinegar. It's going to give me a lot of vinegar flavor with not using a lot of it. Because again, I don't want much moisture. There's a tiny bit. Now I've got my salt. I've got a little bit of dried herbs. Not much. A little bit of pepper. And use a little bit of dried onion powder and a little bit of dried garlic powder. Now I'm going a little bit big on this. Really, you could just do a little bit of oil, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and you'd be in pretty good shape. But now that I have those all in here, this is all seasoned. This is gonna be delicious. I don't need a lot of flavors. If you do too much, it'll kind of ruin the whole thing. We're gonna keep it light for now. Here's the next step. Here's the important stuff. Here's when it gets exciting. So here's the part of the video where I actually started sauteing. Now, what I was saying during it is you can just set them down in the pan, and as long as you're careful with oil and you set them down gently, you'll be okay. I ran into a problem here because since I was making a video, I let the pan get too hot, and I was like, well, let's just keep going anyway. And I immediately had something pop up and get me. And I had a little bit too much liquid on my Brussels sprouts. They really weren't dry enough when I did this, and that's a big problem. I wouldn't have had an issue if I would have had them drier and not let my pan get too smoking hot. This is when the smoke point thing becomes really important. So I kind of blew it. I switched over to the tongs because I kept going. Even having burned myself a little bit, I could still make them pretty delicious. Now I let them crisp up there. You can see that one's looking terrific actually. And as they crisp, I turn them over. If they haven't crisped up enough, I turned them back. That one probably could have gone back over actually. But having let them crisp, because I already did that parboil with them, because I already blanched them, the inside's pretty well cooked. I just want the outside to get some texture and some flavor on it. So I'm gonna finish these up, and then I'm gonna pull them off and put them in a bowl lined with paper towels to get off some of the excess oil. Now you can see there, they look really good. And you can also see the pan's actually still got quite a bit of boiling on it. All the little liquids are boiling in the oil there. It says it's very hot. You really do need to be very careful. But that's my cautionary tale. I'll talk about it again in a second. I'm going to do a voiceover to explain the hijinks of what just went on, which that means you've already listened to my voiceover. Now, I emptied the pan into a bowl lined with paper towels. That's just to get any excess oil off of it. There's going to be a little bit more than I actually want to eat, so this will give me a chance to absorb it. But these look outstanding. They look really good. They're piping hot. Let's put them on a nice plate, see how they look. Oh man, those are lovely. Now, you're going to see some that look especially crispy. Like that looks real dark, but that's the business. That's really good. These really crispy little bits, I guess right here, they're really good. This is how you can make Brussels sprouts, which kind of everyone claims to hate, into the best thing at your meal. They're really excellent. They're really well seasoned, a little salt, a little pepper, but that pan fry with that little bit of a boil beforehand, the blanching, really made it sing. So here we are, Brussels sprouts, perfect, ready to go. Your family will love them. Brussels sprouts are not very expensive, and they're often on sale at grocery stores because people think of them as kind of a pain, or because they think of it as just like a Thanksgiving or holiday kind of meal. I think they're great all year round. So by all means, give them a taste, see what you think. Do be careful when cooking them because they can be a little bit dangerous when using high heat. Again, that oil got a little hotter than I intended. But all worked out in the end. I changed course and used the tongs to be safe. As long as you're safe and you do what you need to do, you're gonna be okay. Just take care of yourself. All right, part of taking care of yourself, of course, eating more vegetables. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.